The Invincible universe is populated by dozens of alien species. Here are the 10 that shaped the galaxy most, ranked from least to most consequential. Let's break this down. Magmmonites. They are what Volcanica's army is made of, and what Hell's thermal oceans are populated by. And outside of those two contexts, they are effectively docile. Creatures whose capacity for violence is entirely contingent on whether something is directing them toward it. The Amazon Invincible fandom wiki and the Wikipedia Invincible comics article both document the Magmmonites' dual nature. As lava monsters who dwell in the Underrealm's molten depths, they are part of Hell's natural ecology, existing in the magma oceans at the base of the cavern system that extends beneath the Earth's crust. Without a controlling intelligence pointing them at a target, they are background elements of a dimension most surface dwellers don't know exists. With that controlling intelligence, whether Doc Seismic using technologically engineered gauntlets in the comics or Volcanica commanding them as her personal army in Season 4, they become a swarm-based military force whose specific advantage is that they are composed of the same material as their environment, and can regenerate from that material indefinitely. The Wikipedia Invincible article documents Doc Seismic's comics arc. He learned to control an army of Magmmonites and other subterranean monsters, was eventually converted into a molten lava being himself by Volcanica, and was later killed by one of Robot's drones, a character arc that treats the Magmmonites as tools throughout rather than as agents in their own right. They are the franchise's most thoroughly instrumentalized species, dangerous when weaponized, irrelevant when not. But if the galaxy's most docile army without a commander ranks 10th, wait until you learn about the predators who don't even need one. Ragnar. The franchise introduces them early. Pack predators that Omni-Man uses as a training threat for a young Mark who is just beginning to understand what his Viltrumite biology is capable of. The Amazon Invincible fandom wiki and the Aliens fandom documentation both identify the Ragnar as creatures whose specific combination of physical aggression and pack coordination makes them a genuine danger to beings without superhuman capability, but whose significance in the franchise is primarily as a calibration tool, a way of establishing that Mark, but even at the beginning of his superhero career, can handle a threat that would be catastrophic for an unaugmented human. They have no documented homeworld in detail, no political structure, no coalition membership, and no recorded interaction with the Viltrumite Empire beyond being deployed as combat training obstacles. They function in the Invincible universe as the franchise's equivalent of a dangerous animal, something to be managed, avoided, or used as a benchmark, but not a civilization in any meaningful sense. The TV Tropes Invincible Comics Breakdown and the Image Comics Fandom Species category both list them without the kind of extended lore documentation that accompanies species who have shaped galactic history. They are physically dangerous. They are not strategically consequential. The franchise uses them to show where Mark starts and then moves on to considerably larger problems. But if pack predators with no political presence or galactic footprint rank 9th, wait until you learn about the species whose accelerated existence changed the Grayson family forever. Thraxans. They live fast. The Wikipedia Invincible TV series article and the Amazon Invincible fandom wiki both document the Thraxan biological profile, an insectoid alien species from the planet Thraxa with dramatically accelerated aging, a lifespan measured in approximately 9 Earth months rather than decades, which means a Thraxan who appears to be a young adult may have existed for only a few months of objective time. This biological reality shapes everything about their civilization, their social structures, their relationship with time, their specific vulnerability to the Viltrumite Empire, whose envoys age imperceptibly while the entire Thraxan population they govern turns over multiple times in a single Viltrumite year. Nolan Grayson was stationed on Thraxa after leaving Earth, became their emperor, fell in love with a Thraxan woman named Andressa, and fathered Oliver Grayson, a half-Viltrumite, half-Thraxan hybrid whose Viltrumite genetics dramatically slowed his Thraxan aging, and gave him physical capabilities that neither parent's species alone would have produced. The CBR species analysis documents the Viltrumite assault on Thraxa that killed millions of Thraxans in the conflict surrounding Nolan's defection. A casualty count that, given their 9-month lifespan, it represented a staggering proportion of the planet's population in a devastatingly short window of time. Their legacy in the franchise is primarily Oliver, a character whose hybrid biology the series uses to explore what Viltrumite genetics do when expressed in an organism with fundamentally different temporal parameters. But if the fastest living species in the franchise ranks 8th, wait until you learn about the shapeshifters sitting on a parasite time bomb. Martians. They solved the Sequid problem first. The Aliens fandom Martian documentation and the Wikipedia Invincible comics article both tell the same foundational story. Centuries before the events of the series, an alien mothership crashed on Mars. Its cargo, the Sequids, a parasitic species capable of controlling host organisms through neurological attachment, escaped and attempted to overtake the Martians. The attempt failed because Martian biology, specifically their shape-shifting capability, prevented the Sequids from establishing the neurological connection the parasites required. Unable to find a viable host, the Sequids were rendered essentially mindless, creatures capable of simple tasks but incapable of autonomous thought without a host body to activate their hive mind. The Martians enslaved them for manual labor. The fandom documentation describes Martian biology as shape-shifting based, which also explains their cultural paranoia about solid-form visitors. Any non-shape-shifting organism on Mars represents a potential Sequid host, and Martian law mandates execution of any solid found on the planet as an extreme precaution against the hive mind re-establishing. This precaution had limits. A Martian named Shapesmith came to Earth, impersonated an astronaut named Roose Livingston, and the real Roose was left on Mars, where a Sequid attached to him, the hive mind reactivated, and the Sequids overthrew the Martians who had enslaved them for centuries. Mars is now quarantined. The Martians lost their planet to the problem they thought they had solved, but if the shape-shifting civilization that accidentally freed the parasites they had contained ranks 7th, wait until you learn about those parasites, Sequids. The most dangerous thing about them is how small they are. Each individual Sequid looks like a small, tentacled organism, something that, without context, it registers as a minor threat rather than an existential one. The Amazon Invincible fandom wiki and the Wikipedia Invincible comics article both document the hive mind mechanism. The Sequids share a collective consciousness, but that consciousness is only activated when at least one member of the species is attached to a viable host body. Without a host, they are effectively mindless. With one, the entire species becomes a coordinated intelligence capable of strategic planning, planetary conquest, and systematic takeover of civilizations. They conquered Mars. They nearly conquered Earth through a single infected astronaut, Roose Livingston, whose possession the franchise used across multiple seasons to demonstrate how completely one Sequid attachment can cascade into the global threat. Season 4's resolution of the Sequid arc confirms what the franchise had been building toward. Mark killed Roose to stop the infection from spreading, a decision the series frames as one of the most psychologically costly choices he has made, precisely because Roose was a victim rather than a threat, and the distinction matters even when the outcome requires ignoring it. The TV Tropes Invincible comics breakdown notes that the Sequids escaped annihilation multiple times by hiding within a host's body, a survival strategy that makes them extraordinarily difficult to permanently eliminate. But if the hive mind parasites who conquered a planet through one attached organism rank 6th, wait until you learn about the species that exist to keep something worse contained. Demons. They are not fallen angels. Or they are not the Christian cosmological conception of evil beings serving a dark lord. The Amazon Invincible fandom wiki and the /film season 4 episode breakdown both document what the franchise's 5th age beings actually are. A flesh and blood species that arose in the 5th age of Earth's existence, waged a war spanning eons against the 4th age's Vile, creatures of such fundamental destructive power that they could not be killed, only imprisoned, and won that war not through extermination, but through containment. The demons drove the Vile into hell, built the prison infrastructure that kept them weak and contained, and have been maintaining that containment across the entirety of the 6th age that humanity currently inhabits. Satan leads them. The Darkblood clan serves him. But every demon who has died in the sustained war against Volcanica and the ongoing management of the Vial has died in service of keeping the surface world safe from a threat it does not know exists. The franchise's Season 4 revelation reframes the entire species. Creatures humanity has historically conceptualized as evil are the beings whose institutional function is the protection of human civilization from something that preceded it. The specific irony that Damien Darkblood, a demon, was investigating the murders of human superheroes in Season 1 while simultaneously being the species responsible for the containment keeping those humans alive is the kind of retroactive recontextualization the franchise deploys at its best. But if the species that imprisoned the Fourth Age's monsters to protect the Sixth Age ranks 5th, wait until you learn about the species that almost ceased to exist and produced a galaxy-changing individual anyway. Unopans. Their planet was destroyed by the Viltrumites. Their species was reduced to near extinction. What survived was not a military force or a political coalition, but a breeding program, a specific, deliberate, generationally patient project to engineer a single individual capable of defeating a Viltrumite in direct combat. The CBR species analysis and the Image comics. Alan the Alien documentation both describe the Unopan response to near extinction, breeding camps, strict cultural practices around reproduction, successive generations of experimental augmentation, until one product of the program emerged capable of sustaining the damage and delivering the output that a Viltrumite engagement requires. That product was Alan the Alien. The Amazon Invincible fandom wiki documents his post-infection enhancement. When Alan survived a near-fatal assault by multiple Viltrumites and healed from it, his biology, already engineered to grow stronger through combat, produced an amplification that placed him above his already Viltrumite tier baseline. The Unopan breeding program that appeared to have failed, Thetis shut it down before Alan emerged as its successful product, turned out to have produced exactly what it was designed to produce, decades after anyone believed it still could. The franchise uses the Unopans to document a specific kind of civilizational resilience, a species that lost everything except the knowledge of what it needed to build, and built it anyway across generations of careful biological engineering. Alan carries a species' entire legacy and purpose in his biology, but if the species that engineered its own extinction's answer ranks 4th, wait until you learn about the species whose specific genetic profile made them the most strategically valuable beings in the galaxy. Humans. They are physically weak by the franchise's standards. The Amazon Invincible fandom wiki and the Wikipedia Invincible comics article both frame Earth's unaugmented human population as beings whose capability gap from Viltrumites is so large that a single Viltrumite can casually kill multiple trained superhuman defenders without effort. This is documented in Omni-Man's murder of the original Guardians of the Globe in Season 1. The most powerful superheroes Earth had produced died in seconds. And yet Thragg... So after the Scourge Virus reduced the Viltrumite population to fewer than 50 pureblood members, chose Earth specifically, not for its military capacity, not for its technology, for its genetics. The Viltrumite wiki documentation and the CBR species analysis both confirm the reason. Human DNA is compatible with Viltrumite genetics in a way that produces viable hybrid offspring with Viltrumite-level physical capability, and the dominant Viltrumite genetic profile gradually asserts itself across generations, meaning human. Viltrumite hybrids trend toward pure Viltrumite capability over time. Mark Grayson exists because of this compatibility. Oliver Grayson exists because of it. Thragg's entire post-exile plan, establishing himself on Thraxa, breeding a rapid-aging army of Thraxan Viltrumite hybrids. Yes, positioning Earth as the long-term genetic reservoir for Viltrumite repopulation was built on this specific biological relationship between two species that could not be more different in physical capability. Humanity's significance in the franchise is not what it can do. It is what it can be turned into. But if the species whose genome became the blueprint for a conquered race's resurrection rank 2nd, wait until you learn about the species doing the conquering. Viltrumites. They began as a civilization. The Amazon Invincible fandom wiki and the Wikipedia Invincible comics article both document the purge that transformed them. Viltrumite society identified weakness within its population and eliminated it, a systematic culling that removed every member of the species who could not meet the physical standard the Empire's ideology required. What remained after the Purge was not a civilization in the conventional sense, but a weapons program with a governing structure. Fewer than 50 pureblood members at the series' peak Scourge Virus period, each one possessing superhuman strength, speed, durability, flight, and space survival capability that made them individually capable of subjugating entire planets without support. The franchise documents their conquest methodology across multiple arcs. Viltrumites are sent to a target planet undercover, spend years weakening its defenses and preparing its population for subjugation, and then either install a compliant regime or call in military support for the ones that resist. Nolan Grayson spent 22 years on Earth executing this protocol before his attachment to his family made him unable to complete it. The Viltrumite fandom wiki documents the biological specifics that make them the most dangerous species in the known universe. Immune systems so aggressive that Sequids cannot parasitize them. The smart atom cellular adaptation that maintains peak function under extreme environmental conditions. Lifespans measured in thousands of years. And a selective breeding history that removed every genetic line that couldn't sustain those capabilities. The Scourge Virus nearly ended them. Thragg rebuilt the species from fewer than 50 survivors. They came back. That specific combination, apex biological capability, 1,000-year strategic patience, and the demonstrated ability to recover from near extinction and continue the mission, is what the Coalition of Planets spent the entire franchise trying to stop.